Here is why society is to blame for beasts like Blake Lively. Now, you guys will know, those of you at the winning team, hello, that we always talk about Hollyweird. Hollyweird is probably featured the most on this channel in all of nearly 2,000 videos that I've made. And today we're going to be talking about Blake Lively because this is just on another episode of I Can't Stand Society, right? What did people expect? This is what happens when you treat people like gods, they begin to behave like them. When you treat somebody like an idol, they begin to behave like one. This is what I'm trying to say. So again, I haven't spoken about this, even though the situation has been going on forever, because I feel like, well, this is the same old tale as heard 100 times. We've got somebody in places of entitlement in the industry who's had a good, strong, long career, who, particularly a female, who believes they can kind of just get away with everything because really they have been. And that's kind of the point, right? Whether it's in the industry, whether it's us, we are the ones. I said to you guys, power is always with the people. The number of famous people that like more than, let's say, 10 million people on the planet know are much smaller than the people that know those that are much smaller, than that other group of people. Like we all know a small group of famous celebrities or whatever, right? But the number of people in the actual world is way greater than the number of people that are famous, right? And so there's two layers to it. You have the first layer of the people who get to be around those kinds of people on a day-to-day. So people that work on their sets, people that work, in the industry, the jobs that are not being the quote-unquote star or main character type of individual, all those people around, which as you guys, I'm sure are aware, there's a lot of people. As I've told you guys, I was bewildered even when I was in Italy. I was singing backup on tour for famous Italian singer. And it was just insane even for me, like being there and like actually looking at how insane the size of the production is. And it made me think a lot about stuff like this because like at the last place that we went to, was it the last place? It wasn't even the last place that we went to because the last place we were at is a stadium. So not the stadium, there was another place that we were at. I remember just us being there, coming into the set, right? So we're here for one artist. I'm going some of this. One artist, he's got his main lead vocalist. We were on for one set, a couple of guests, and the band consisted of, I think, 3 different types of, I think there was 1 bass, 2 electric guitars, 2 drummers, 2 pianists, a saxophone, a trumpet, a trombone, and who else was on stage? And that's the main band, right? But then in terms of the actual crew, we had like literally a whole, like everything was like on an estate. We had a whole section's worth of green rooms. We had all those little, I forgot, golf carts that were all parked, like maybe, I don't know how many of them, that people were literally riding around the entirety of the set. And on top of that, there were also bicycles that people were riding around on the entire set. There were so many people on this set. Like even when it came to like our meals, we would go and get served our meals, like, and we'd have to go at different times because the sheer number of people that were on the production team. And so it would literally be like the equivalent of how much food you would have like in a school to feed the entire school, right? Why am I saying all of this? I'm saying all of this to say that those are first of all the people that sit there and enable and worship these celebrities, right? And so do the public, right? And I'm not saying you can't be appreciative or caring towards people that you like, be excited to see them. But I saw for myself in real time how people act so differently just because somebody's famous. So like when I was on this tour again, everybody who I was with was like freaking out about the artist and was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Look, he's over there, right? And I did what I'm not supposed to do. While everybody's freaking around and he's freaking out and he's got this entourage and everybody's treating him like this god that came from God knows where. Me being me decided I'm going to just treat this guy like a human. So I called out his name and I waved at him the most cringiest, cheesy kind of wave that you can imagine. And he just started laughing and he waved back, whatever. But the reason why I'm mentioning this story is because it showed me that even the people I was with who just now were very cool, too cool for school, were now losing their mind. What do you guys think is going to happen eventually when you got the wrong type of person, or people are used to being treated like that and are used to everybody running around them and like worshipping them and whatever. Fortunately, a lot of people who've got a good community, or who know the Lord or whatever, they don't really enjoy that situation. I mean, they want to just do whatever the craft that they have. I would say somebody like Billie Eilish for me is kind of like that, in the sense of you can tell that she's not necessarily into all the gimmicks of the lifestyle that she lives. She's really just happens that she has a lot of fans and she's very talented, but you can see that she's not the type of person who's like locked in on being treated like this higher, above, more than anything else type of person. Keanu Reeves is another great example, who's known to just be like, essentially only does like movies and stuff that he agrees with the message of, essentially. And outside of that, if you didn't know he was Keanu Reeves, is just the most normal dude. And he does a lot even for others, but he doesn't broadcast it. Most of these stories are shared because the people who received help from him in any way come forward and say, oh, I met Keanu once, and yada, 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 right? So what ends up happening is when we put these people on these pedestals, and then the people who are at the production, and then the people who are coming to view, right? The audience, the greater masses. So those of us who are like, just spectating, buying tickets to these concerts, you name it, right? Our adoration, this is why I don't believe in idolizing anything above God or any other thing other than God, because God isn't the type of person who's there excited about being this tyrannical whatever. In fact, he just so happens that it's almost like he just so happens that he is God, but it's not that and that's funny how all the other gods, if you look at it, even if you look in mythology, which you guys all know that I don't believe that any of that is mythology anyway, it was always about tyrannical reigning and people worshipping something that technically is terrorizing them, like the perfect narcissistic type of relationship, right? This is what these celebrities do. So when I'm seeing all this stuff with Blake Lively and people are saying, oh, Blake Lively, like, oh, she's like this, and now everyone's coming out, I'm seeing podcasts talk about my experience with her here, my this, that, there. Maybe we shouldn't have been the ones encouraging and enabling all these years. Maybe we shouldn't put people on a pedestal. Maybe we shouldn't treat people as gods. Maybe we shouldn't just let people get away with stuff just because they're rich and famous. But then we do. And then when crazy things happen and situations go down, like this whole situation with Justin Baldoni, all of a sudden it's, oh my gosh, what's go wrong with these celebrities? What do you mean what's wrong with them? You were kissing their butts the whole time. What do you mean what's wrong with them? What do you mean? Why do you think they do these things? Because they're used to being able to get away with whatever, because everybody's so busy just treating them like these gods. This is the same thing with Diddy. People are like, how could he be doing this? Why would he ruin his career? What do you mean, why would he ruin his career? This is part of his career. This is part of his tyranny, because you will sit there like, literally like blank-eyed, just like worshipping these people. Like literally people, I'm so sorry to say this like this, right? Because I get it. It's exciting to meet somebody that you're that's like you support a lot. But my gosh, the way people react when they see somebody famous, like even when I used to work in the industry, I'd be like, is it really that deep? This is where a lot of the entitlement comes from these predators, because they're like, haha, like that whole situation that took place with Trey Songz, right? Which again was quickly swept under the carpet. Years ago, we talked about this. Yeah, people were like, oh, Trey Songz, he approached, a couple of women came out in the entertainment industry to say that he's very entitled. Like he feels the entitlement towards women in terms of course you want to be with him. Of course you want to sleep with Trey Songz. So he enforced himself, allegedly, on a few different people that spoke out about it, because he felt like, of course this is what you want because I'm Trey Songz. Of course, this is what they're thinking. Of course, Blake Lively thinks she can get away with it. She's Blake Lively. Of course, Diddy thinks he can get away with what he does because he's Diddy. And they're only in that position. It's not for anything other than where you put your money, time, and attention. Literally. Because if you didn't support all the things that they did, and if you weren't falling out from your place when they came along, they would just be treated just the same as normal human beings. They wouldn't be in those positions. But instead, we're the ones who are like losing our minds at the thought of these celebrities. It's no wonder that they behave like that. That's what I'm saying to you guys. I was shocked again to see, because I never performed as part of a world tour, right? Until I went to Italy for the first time. And so to see how everybody was reacting, because I was there all day, like for a lot of the days, right? I'm looking around and I'm thinking, these people, like, albeit he's a lovely man, the guy that I was performing with, right? Albeit he's a lovely man. And so I'm not including him in this at all, because he's actually one of the sweetest people out there. But like the way that everybody else was acting, even the entitlement of like the people around him, and just feeling like, oh, because we know him and because we whatever, we're whatever, like the attitude was going crazy. The way that people would change their behavior, I'm like, I get it. He's an artist. We love him. He's a human. That's why I did what you're not supposed to do, which is to just, like, as cheesy as possible, just shout out his name and wave at him. And everyone looked at me like I was a crazy person. Because like, oh no, how dare you? How dare you go and speak to the gods? You know what I mean? It's giving like the old school kings where like even their wives couldn't approach them unless they were summoned. Like crazy work, isn't it? But this is what happens. And then we wonder why. We give people all this power. We give them all of our attention and everything. And then when they do things, we now want to be upset. But you created the monster yourself, my friend. You created that monster. You did. You did, treating them in a position that they shouldn't have been treated in the first place. And that's why they get away with it, because they're used to getting away with it. People now want to talk about, oh, she did this before, and Blake Lively, this is my experience. Yeah, but you kept your mouth freaking shut. And because you all kept your mouth freaking shut, she continued on with that. She still got to maintain her narrative personality to the rest of the world, who's also just as doe-eyed, fallen in love under the spell of celebrity. And then now, because there's somebody else is being affected, because now things are too clear, now she pushed it too far, as they always do, because people who are like this level of entitled, they're so used to getting away with it that they truly don't believe they're going to get caught. That's what I actually believe wholeheartedly. I believe so many of these things that we talk about and all these people in these situations, I truly believe the reason why they go ahead and do these things is because they truly do not believe they're going to get caught. Because they're so used to not getting caught. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're so used to not being held accountable. They're so used to getting away with whatever they want to get away with, because people just go ahead with it. People just bend over for them simply because they're celebrity. And what? What does that mean any different? Do you know how many talented people there are over the world that are undiscovered? Do you know how many good-looking people even are all over the world who are, again, undiscovered? It's just crazy to me that when you're in a couple of Hollywood films or a set of Hollywood movies and whatnot and what have you, or you have 6 zeros in your bank account and 6 zeros in your Instagram followers, all of a sudden you get treated differently. And it's funny because people do this. People will save and sell things to pay 4,000 whatever amount of money to go to see Taylor Swift, to go to see Beyonce. But then when there's people around you in your own life that you wouldn't pay a penny, you would want to be judging, oh, I don't know if I want to spend this money in their business. Oh, I don't want to eat food from their truck because I don't know if they're FDA approved. All this stuff. Like you even know the FDA. Like you even know where the FDA gets its qualifications to even be doing that. But then you'll go and spend, because this is the thing. Our actions are a reflection of whatever's going on in the inside. You don't have to be crying on your knees to these celebrities for us to see where who you're idolizing or what your idols are. Your actions will show it for themselves. The simple fact that you will invest in all these celebrities and buy all their merch and do all of this when you know full blown well that they are millionaires and billionaires and whatever, but you will see an issue with supporting somebody in your local, like the local lady down the road, right, who's making nice little knitwear coming up to the winter. You won't buy from her because you'll say, oh, that $50 is too expensive, even though she made that in her house with the love of her hands. And then you'll go and put money in the pockets of these celebrities. You go and treat them like gods. And then you wonder why they have the entitlement that they do. You can't go and spend time, at your local places to see what your local talent is like and whatever, right? Support the next big person. But you'll do whatever it takes to make sure you can fly to another country to see a celebrity that you really want to see perform for all of 40 minutes. It's crazy. And then you still have the delusion that you're not a slave to them. And you still are living in the delusion that the power isn't always with the people. These people don't have a place without us giving them our power. Our power comes in the form of time, money, resources, attention. Nobody has a platform. Like, this is why I don't want to hear anymore about anybody complaining about anyone on the internet. Because you're just drawing attention. That's why these same people on the internet, even on social media, they bounce back real fast. You know why? Because people are still watching their content. That's all that it takes. People are still investing. I think about this when I think about Logan Paul sometimes, right? Because I find him particularly annoying. But I think people say whatever they want to say, but people are still buying Prime. People are still acknowledging what he does. People are still paying attention to what he does. People are still doing whatever. So does it matter what you have to say? You're still a slave. Your attention is still there. That's what I'm saying. We create these beasts. And then people say, I don't know how so-and-so is getting away with this, because we're all drawing attention to it. That's why. The so-and-so, that's why I don't want to talk about the Blake Lively thing. But eventually I decided I'm going to talk about it, because I'm thinking, you all look stupid again. How has she gotten away with this? How is this happening? How is the same thing people say about Diddy? How did this happen? How did this? Same thing. It's always how? Because of you. Because of you and how you utilize your time, resources, and attention. The power is always with the people. That's what I'm saying to you. The power is always with the people. If somebody has 10 million subscribers, if somebody has 10 million whatever, that means that 10 million people hit subscribe. I want you to understand that. 10 million people made the decision with their free will, where they could have skipped, they could have clicked off, they could have done anything. The choice that they made with their free will in that moment was to hit subscribe. The same people in the same working class who with the same issues, instead of saving up money for other things, are the same people who took that hard-earned money that you took you months to save. They could note that could come out of their bank account in a second, and they wouldn't notice. You are the one who went onto your mobile banking or your online banking, and you paid for those tickets, and you typed in your card details. You did. Unless you're telling me somebody forced you, I would say that there's a very small amount of people that can probably say that in the entire world. Just saying, the power is with the people, because if life's a game, let's play to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.